What's the vibe, essentially? Another week of vibe coding. This one took me a little bit longer, just to be honest. I normally try to post on Sundays. The last build took me about 2 to 3 days. This one took me about a week. Just to be honest, I put a lot of time into it. So I vibe coded an entire synth. I have multiple versions of it. We'll take a look at the first one. This is the first one that I built out. As you can see, it's all the way zoomed out. If you know me, I'm blind. That's the reason why I got these glasses on. But this is pretty much the synth that I made. This is another one under my H Studios suite, and it's called the Source. So essentially, this is an AI synth. You can type in and tell it whatever it is that you want. You can say, make me a drill 808, make me a super saw, make me a dubstep bass, make me a plug synth. You would just type it in essentially, and in real time, you would see the parameters adjust, and it's gonna correlate to whatever it is that you typed in. So this is volume 1, even though it says synth 3. This is the prototype. These are the oscillators, sine, square, saw, triangle. These are the filters. These are the different filter types that we have: low pass, high pass, band pass, notch, etc. So if you're familiar with sound design or just filters in general, these are pretty much the common filters that are used for sound design, sound sculpting, removing unwanted frequencies. These are the model types. You have clean, acid, diode, ladder, SVF, formant, your comb filter. These are the different slopes. You have your 12 and your 48. There's another one I'm going to implement, which would be a 48 dB. I'm not going to put it on this one because this is just kind of the version 1. I just wanted to see the progression of it. These are the different filter routings. So if you know serial, parallel, split. So these are going to be your chains, and as far as your processing goes, these are going to be your modulation. This is your imp, envelope 2. You can loop, you can invert. These are going to be your LFOs, LFO1, LFO2. This is going to be your effect sequencer. So these are the different effects that I added to the sauce: ring mod, comb, formant, wave folder, transient. You can mute, you can solo. So everything is always going to be interactive, even though it's an MVP, a prototype. It still works. As I said, I try to build things that actually work so that way you get the full gist of it. And this is pretty much the first one that I built out. As I said, I just kind of laid this as a shell. I needed a visual to see exactly where I was going. Making a DAW is easy because you have so many different references. You have Ableton, Logic, FL Studio, so it's easier in my mind to make that just because you know visually how you want things to flow. As I said, this is part 1. So after about 3 days, I wasn't really satisfied with this interface here. Thought it was pretty cool. I like the black and yellow, the olive. The colors don't really contrast with my eyes. That's why I decided to stick with this color. But this is the final layout here. So this one, I put another four days into it. And this is the layout that I decided on. I wanted something that was a little bit more simpler, a little cleaner, something that's easy on the eyes. I still have the AI assistant here, so you can generate, or let's just say you create a pad for whatever reason you don't like it, you can hit evolve and it'll change from there. I'll walk you through this one as well too. So you have a sine wave, square, saw. So this is the same synth that we just saw. It's just me just kind of changing out the layout. You can turn off the oscillator. So I decided to stick with 2 for this one and not to have too much going on. Your source, your destination. These are going to be your filters. So this is the same type of filter section that you have. As I said, I try to keep everything one page. The same type of filters. They're still going to be the same models, your slopes. I forgot to add the 48 here. I'll add the 48 in here on the next one. Serial, parallel, split. Envelope 1, so that way you have a lot more customization. These are laid out individually, so that way everything is all bundled up together. So we have 4 oscillators, 4 envelopes. Envelope 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 different LFOs. These are the LFO types. These are the shapes. You can draw it in yourself as well too. So as I said, I try to make sure that everything is interactive. It's not just, pretty for no reason. They actually work. Retrig, bipolar, sync, invert, random, slew. This is a limiter. You can turn it on as well too. So as a default, everything is going to be bypassed just because I didn't want to have it clicking and humming. This is going to be your MPE here. So I have an MPE already incorporated inside of the synth. This is going to be your, and as you can see, everything works. Everything is full active, and that's the main thing, is that I wanted to make sure stuff worked. Like a lot of these knobs, when I first started making the plugin, they didn't work. They didn't do anything. It was just eye candy. So I wanted to make sure that everything works fully. Like I can actually use this. I can use this right now. Make crazy sounds with it. What else haven't I gone over? This is the presets. So this is going to be the preset manager. This is another thing that I incorporated in the synth. These are going to be your different characteristics, your sound types. These are going to be your preset patches here. So as a default, I designed about 50 different sounds just to have something in here, so that way it's not, just empty when you would decided to load something up. You have an A/B comparison between the two. You can save presets just like any other synth. Let's see what else is in here. You can initialize the patch. That's your initialize button. This is your, so there's no MIDI activity. Everything that you hover over essentially is going to have some type of helper. These are going to be the different skins. So this is the white and blue skin. This one isn't really popping like that, but you got to have variation. And this is the one that works the easiest on my eyes. Is going to be the black and the yellow one. This is the one that I like the most. There's a step sequencer that's also been included. This is your global, and these are going to be your voicings. I also have an ARP in here, so you can add different ARP modes. These are going to be the different ARP speeds, and these are the gates. These are the hold, the latch. So as I said, everything is interactive. Anything that you press on is going to work, is going to do what it's supposed to do. You can hide the QWERTY keyboard here. That's what this button is here for. I'll probably move it over to the side, or I'll figure out a better place to put it. But this is going to be your MPE if you have one. Let's see, what else haven't I gone over? I believe that's everything. The matrix, the filters, the envelopes. As I said, I vibe coded this whole entire synth. It took me a week, and when I say a week, I mean 7 days. It took me about 3 days just to get the first version, just to get a visual. And then it took me about another 4 days to make sure that the sound actually worked, make sure that everything was easy on the eyes, there wasn't too much information that was conflicting with each other. Another key word that you need to get used to if you're going to be doing a lot of vibe coding is the word debugging. You want to spend a whole day just debugging, just to make sure that you get all of the bugs out of the plugin, as I said, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good it looks if it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that you're spending at least a day just debugging and making sure that you aren't, you don't have any holes, in your ship, because you want to keep your ship afloat. But this is my synth. This is called The Sauce. This is another one by H Studios. As I said, I have about 10 more plugins just kind of in the chamber. I'm just kind of working on something. As you can see, each plugin that I work on is visually going to look better than the last one. I'm very big on aesthetics and just like the way things visually look. So I'll catch you next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.